Hi, it's Anne from Unity Physiotherapy and Wellbeing. So it's thought of the day or quote of the day Sunday. Some days I will share a thought and a quote together like I did last week, and I'm going to do that today. Other weeks I will simply share a quote on its own, and other weeks some ponderings. And I would love to hear your thoughts on the posts. It is really lovely to have that connection and that dialogue. So please do share if you're happy to. So today's thoughts and quotes relate to nervous system regulation, which is something I use a lot in my work. It is a foundational part. It's something that is foundational in the 8-week workshop series I run. Yes, really important to understand. And it's something I'm learning more about as well through an integrative somatic trauma therapy 60-hour certificate I'm doing at the moment. And that's where some of these ponderings have come from, because I guess it's put some of the myths in the forefront of my mind again. And I've seen a couple of posts related to some of the myths this week, and I've also seen a couple of posts that are more accurate. So that and a workshop last week has kind of had me pondering, and I thought I'd share. So nervous system regulation is a term that is used such a lot at the moment. It's become one of these buzzwords, popular terms. So you most likely heard of it, you may not have, and that's absolutely okay. I would be curious to know what it means to you, and I'd be curious to know if it still means the same after this video. So nervous system regulation, as I say, has many myths, and I've been pondering one of the biggest ones, or one I think is one of the biggest ones, and also the quote that I'm going to use is from Lisa Dion, and she actually mentioned it, one of the biggest myths as well, is that nervous system regulation means to calm down, to calm the mind and body. And it isn't necessarily that. It doesn't mean that. Regulation is a place where we can connect with ourselves, others, and the world. We are feeling settled or safe enough to be present, to connect. And that's that place of regulation. That's where the autonomic nervous system is working in a balanced way, where the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system are in a state of balance, which is fluctuating all of the time, moment by moment. And then when we dysregulate, we go one of two ways within the autonomic nervous system, and we have blended states as well. And depending on the state of the nervous system and what's happening, depends on what we need. So we may not need a kind of a down regulation, a calming. We may need an up regulation, an up modulation. So we might need the dial down or the dial up. So we need to kind of know that we don't necessarily need that calming. And down regulation does not necessarily mean calm. So if we need to regulate, we may need to, we might have too much activation, we may need to come back towards regulation and down modulate. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to feel calm and that systems are calm. It may do, we may feel a sense of that, but we're aiming to come back to that connection and that presence. And being in regulation does not mean there isn't, say, anxiety present. It means that we can hold that and be regulated, settled enough to be present and to connect. So I wanted to share that without going into great details about things. And also a quote from Lisa Dion from her workshop in last week, I think. Time is kind of blending together, of the training I'm doing. And she said, so this isn't the quote bit, but it's relevant. She said that a big myth is that children need a calm adult, and they don't. They need a connected one, an adult that is present and connected. So that doesn't necessarily mean calm. So there's a difference. But there was a whole lot of other stuff in that that's important about environmental congruence, and that's a congruence between our kind of way we're showing up and what we're feeling inside. But obviously that's related, but going off track. And her quote that I wanted to share, I think is really important to remember, and it's really simple, and that is to regulate is to modulate. And that may make sense from what I've just talked about. So to regulate is to modulate. We may need to down modulate or down regulate. We may need to up regulate or up modulate to be more towards regulation, and that place where we can feel present, feel safe enough, settled enough, and be able to connect. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Maybe it was slightly waffly, but yeah, I'd love to hear what you think. All right, have a lovely day.